at 7 live at KGO-TV.com. Brian?
Well, special guest here in studio, U.S. Congresswoman Jackie Speier is a lifelong resident of the Bay Area and has represented California's 12th district in Washington for 3 years now. And she joins us this afternoon to give us her take on some of the key issues here at home and across the globe. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
Great. Well, bright and red?
Well, you know why I'm in red.
Why are you in red?
The first Friday of February every year is recognition of Heart Healthy. And it's the American Heart Association's effort to try and educate all of us that heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women. And surprisingly, more women are dying of heart disease than men.
All right, so we're red today in honor of that. Rosie's in red, too. So
I know. We got the memo.
Good lessons. You heard our question, by the way, over there about whether or not it was stealing to use somebody else's Wi-Fi. And I know that next week you are introducing a bill in regard to online privacy. Tell me about that.
Well, 2 bills, actually. But the one of most interest, I think, to your viewers is Do Not Track. And it's basically a takeoff of what I did on financial privacy here in California, where your financial information cannot be used by a financial institution to give to third parties without your permission. So this is going to provide you with an opt-out of having yourself tracked when you go from one site to another.
Okay, now lots of things, of course, going on in the world. Egypt, the major story. You're on the Homeland Security Committee. How do you think that this is going to play out, and how do you think that you think that the administration's done a good job in terms of its response?
I think it's been a very delicate dance for the administration, and it's been certainly witnessed by all of us with how the president has moved very slowly to embrace those who have spoken out against the leader, Mubarak. Now, I will say that what we're seeing here, and we're seeing in Yemen, and we're seeing in Tunisia, is a whole new generation. I mean, if you look at Egypt, 60% of those who live in Egypt are under the age of 30. In Yemen, it's over 70%. So there's a whole
huge generational shift that's going on over there right now.
And they have a lot to lose, but so much more to gain by speaking up at this point.
Okay, moving back here to the Bay Area, now you have been very much on top of the PG&E situation and the San Bruno explosion, and you found out that PG&E is not keeping very good records in terms of where these pipelines are and where the structural weaknesses are. So I guess the question I should ask you is, how worried should we be?
Well, we should be worried, but in fairness to PG&E, they have until March 15th to get all their documents in order. They are moving as quickly as can be humanly possible at this point. They've hired a lot of additional staff and companies to do the work. But in the end, if they cannot document, they already have told us they can't document testing on 30% of their system.
I mean, how can you not document testing on 30% of the entire system?
Well, it's something that we're all scratching our heads about. Let's blame the CPUC, let's blame PG&E, but let's fix it. And so moving forward, I believe very strongly that they have to hydrostatic test those particular parts of the system to make sure they are safe. We do know that in San Bruno, that part of the problem was the weld, that the company, Western Consolidated, the welding they did at the manufacturing site was inadequate. And then they shaved it, which then made the area around the weld 10% thinner than the rest of the pipe. Now, this fissure actually occurred over a period of time. It just didn't happen all at once. So it's one of probably a number of reasons why the explosion took place. But we have got to take every step necessary to make sure it doesn't happen.
Bottom line is we need a lot more oversight.
More oversight, more rules, more regulations.
More regulations. All right, and finally, just the last question, something sensitive. You've heard us talking about Gabby Giffords and her husband deciding that he's going to go into space. You yourself have been a victim of violence. You were shot when Congressman Leo Ryan was killed over in Guyana about 30 years ago. And I read someplace where you said that the psychological trauma that Representative Giffords is going to go through is something that she'll never get over. If I'm paraphrasing, but if that's accurate. Have you gotten over your trauma? Have you found a way to put it in a box and put it aside? Or?
Well, you do find a way of putting it in a box and putting it aside. But the road to recovery is a long run, and Gabby will have some real highs and then some real lows as she recovers. And it's just really important for us to continue to support her. It's a huge benefit to see the flowers outside the hospital, to receive the cards cards from small children and from all of us. So if your viewers are so inclined, I think sending her a message is a very good thing.
Representative Jackie Speier, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Come back, see us again.
I will.
Good to have you.